Welcome to the Market Mindset. We are the hub for news, results, and CEO interviews focusing the junior commodities sector. We provide market analysis and perspective that will help position you for solid returns. If that sounds like something you're interested in, you can help support us by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the notification bell. For more info, you can visit our website. All links are in the description below. Now let's get into today's video.
Good morning, everyone. It's Andrew with the Market Mindset. Today, we're going to be talking with Bathurst Metals Corporation and their P.Geo over there, Lorne Warner. We're going to talk about the whole project, why now as well, what's happening right now, and we're coming up into drilling season and the excitement of what's up in Nunavut, but also what attracted him to the project and what we could kind of look forward to out of a company that is a small cap with a lot of potential to grow in a great jurisdiction. So welcome, Lauren. Welcome to the show. It's a real pleasure to get to meet you and chat to you about this.
Well, thank you, Andrew.
So now you've got a portfolio of not only metals and projects. And before we get into like kind of all that detail, let's just jump into, I mean, gold is heavily focused. A lot of our people are generalists. They're not geologists, but they like to kind of see, okay, what's the thesis? What's the theory? They kind of understand. Maybe you can walk us through what you see.
Well, the flagship property is called Turner Lake. It's been known about only since like the 1960s. So again, you can see how young certain things are. It had been drill tested in the past, and I came in and acquired the land some time ago with another company, did some drilling, and now Bathurst has it. And the reason I like this project, well, there was gold found there. There's some drilling with some very good intercepts, like 20 grams over 10 meters plus and things like that. But it's a type of gold deposit we call Archean low gold. And so it's a classic style of deposit that you get in that time frame. And Archean, like these gold deposits, when we're talking Archean, like most of these deposits are around 2.55 billion years old. Okay, kind of old. All right. And so it's very interesting. Actually, a lot of gold deposits seem to have formed in that time frame. And that might have been something, it's when you have a geological coincidence, it's not a coincidence.
Yes.
Okay. And so in this case, this is where we theorize, and some papers are starting to come out, how our environment was going for more of a sulfur-rich environment. The oxygen was starting to develop within our atmosphere. So we have a chemical variance starting to change.
Yep.
It's over. And that would have been about the time. And all these deposits, a lot of them occurred with over 50 million years, which that's a short time frame.
That's a short, I know.
So
yeah, it's incredible for people to understand. I always kind of like to put this into perspective, is that but people talk about the slow movement of like grinding of rock on rock. Like it's so infinitesimally small that the brain can't even perceive it, but over millions of years, sure, okay.
Yeah. And
you can have these plateaus and plate lines that shift, that break, that shift, and this is what we're seeing up here.
Yeah, well, this is quite some time ago, and it's got the right rocks with the right chemistry and the reasons, and there's been what we call major deformations and things like that, which help create these things. And that's one of the reasons when I work for some of the major companies, you basically develop a recipe, let's say, for what makes a good gold deposit. And Turner Lake had all the check marks. Okay, so it had all the features that would make a good gold deposit. And then when, of course, I seen the data, it's like, I think it was Chevron Minerals was there at one point. They even had thoughts about going underground to do some other work, even though very little drilling. I think they had 10, 15 holes completed on the property.
Yeah. But
they were successful. And it's actually a quite straightforward, simple property in some regards, ways to which we'll drill it. So, I mean, we're looking at this property right now, and because I have experience on it already, drilling in the past, we're immediately going to 50-meter centers and drilling. So in other words, we're going to resource drilling, and I'm hoping that would be within the indicated resources right away.
Nice.
Which is nice. And so every time we do a drill program now, we're going to be looking at doing what we call an NI 43-101 resource study.
Nice. Good.
So it's a very key, it's a flagship for Bathurst. We also have a property next door, which is another one of these Archean, but slightly different geological, what I call iron formation.
Yep.
But we were up there, and the zones that we identified had been found in the past, but there had never been a drill hole on the areas of interest at all. And we had samples. We were seeing the gold,
Yes.
excuse me, in the rock up there. I mean, some of our assays that reported, I think we were a couple of ounces of gold. At least, no, I think it was a couple of them were up to 3 or 4 ounces of gold.
Yeah.
Okay, but those are grab samples, but indicative of what's happening there.
Sure.
And we will look at wanting to put the drill down there for a couple of holes too, just this summer, just to make sure we see what's going on.
Okay. And how deep are you guys going? Like, because this is not very deep right now. I mean, you can go deep, but it's right now you're not having to go too deep.
Well, in Turner Lake right now, there's a lot of near surface material, but we can do a lot of drilling. But where we want to target, based on where we think the better the center of the deposit's occurring, maybe we'll have some holes that are going down maybe 300 meters.
Yeah, wow, that's great. Yeah,
which is not very far at all. There'll be a lot of 150-meter holes and stuff. So there's a lot of drilling needs to be done, but we can get develop quite good resources just from the top 300 meters, let's say. And the other
having those nearby neighbors too that have good numbers, they've been posting strong numbers for a while. Mm-hmm. Having another friend in the block that ideally has a good successful campaign of getting some more data, that adds a lot of value. And I'll talk like an analyst stock person for a second and go, a 5 million market cap company can add a lot of value pretty quickly with a tight share structure. You sit with a good possibility of adding, with some good data and some in the indicated sector, a lot of market cap. There's a definite possibility.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we're very confident in this property. And again, especially since I've worked it before on the drilling, we really think we understand it quite well. It's not overly complicated in a lot of the areas where we're drilling right now, but we want to be drilling, I should say, right now. And I think it's would be straightforward. I don't really anticipate much for surprises. There's been enough drill holes on the property to date to really give us a good idea what's going on.
Yeah, and you've added a lot of people to your board. So as just a corporation, as a company, to kind of get ready for, because I always look to ask people, I know I'm kind of putting a bunch of questions together, but what's the urgency? Like, why are we looking at you right now? What's going on? And it's been a buildup of, you did a raise of capital, you got it in there to get ready for a drill program. You've hired on some more into the board, because we're coming right into a season right now. So that's kind of where I'm leading to, I guess.
Well, yes. And again, like, step back a few years, we just let ourselves sit in the weeds and we just kept collecting properties. We were very patient and we just kept working away. And now it's we have that long-term plan. Okay, we've got the project. So now let's look at the management of the company. Let's do a few changes. Let's get some additions going. Let's make this thing stronger. And so that we get prepared. And then with the drilling program, we're, the confidence level we have on this drilling program, things will change for this company, I think, fairly quickly, fairly well. And on top of that, again, we have a portfolio of properties that I think a lot of companies would be envious of.
Those other properties too also give you a portfolio, a couple different stabs at other metals that are key and very strong and important. Not only, because nickel's very much in the news right now because of global political issues, but a whole host of other ones that it gives someone, a portfolio of assets within the company too to look at.
Yes, well, see, in the Bathurst area of Nunavut, which is, how do I describe it? It's just south of Cambridge Bay. So yeah, I know Nunavut. I know how to. Oh, it's just south of Cambridge Bay. It's just over here.
Yeah.
Victoria Island, what have you. So it's on the mainland though. But that area, for example, is basically gold. Okay.
Yeah.
Our focus was there's gold, and it's all like Archean or later Proterozoic deposits. At the same time, further off to the west, just due south of Kugluktuk, which is the old, also it was called copper mine in the days. There's an area over there I've been watching for a very long time, and I'm so excited we're able to get it. I was just in shock. I've seen all the claims, a bunch of claims were dropped, and we were very strategic on that. They were about to go to paper staking, and we actually spent extra money going up there in advance and staked in the ground.
Nice.
We knew that people were probably watching this, And sure, we now have neighbors around us, and they called and said, yeah, we're going to grab that land. We're just waiting for the day that it opened up. And said, you guys were smart. You went in there and staked it about 2 months before, which cost us a lot more money, but we want to make sure we got the ground. I mean, this is how you, if you really believe in something, these are the kind of things you do.
Yes.
And this play here is very interesting to me because it's something for which, if you're looking for a potential large scale, like world-class scale deposit, like this is a kind of property that has it. I'll try to describe it in a minute, but our analog is the Norilsk in Russia, which has been supplying the world with copper, nickel, and palladium.
Yes.
Okay, and so we have the same geological features as that, exactly the same, and even the events for which caused the secondary high-grade mobilization of mineralization, we have that as well.
Now that's a big, I mean, for anyone who's a generalist, that's not only a big claim, that's a huge mine. I mean, it's been for decades and continues to be so. It's taking a ton of supply off of the market. That is pretty exciting. And that's kind of your backup, like it's your second play. That's because it's a blue sky one compared to, you have not, I mean, this.
It's not as blue sky as you may think.
No, okay. Well, I like it. Good, tell me.
Well, no, because again, I like projects where there's been some work done on them.
Yep.
Where you've taken some of the mystery out, but you know, it takes a lot of time in some cases. The stat was in British Columbia a couple of decades ago when I first started working in the industry, a prospect from the time it was discovered to becoming a mine took about 57 years, 3 majors, and about 7 juniors to have worked on it.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's the technology. Things have changed. You know, things can be wrapped up. I'm not going to wait that long.
No.
But this is what we call this property is the McGregor Lake, Speers Lake. It's a layered ultramafic intrusive. I'm not going to try and get too technical, but just so people understand. And you have a layer. It's layered, so it just as it's a big intrusive body, and as that starts to cool, some things crystallize out sooner, and it looks more like layers than just one body. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah.
And minerals will come out of that solution at a certain time frame, which is usually earlier on. So a lower layer, for example, cumulate layers we call it. And so they have that there. There's drill holes that show the cumulate having occurred down there. Now, at the same time, okay, so you can have, and this thing exists for tens of kilometers. Okay, I think we have about 30 kilometers strike length on this thing. I'll have to take a look. Okay, so it's all ours 100%.
Yeah.
So then, okay, that's great. So, but on top of that, you've got to look at other factors where the metal might be a little more, concentrated within that cumulate. And usually in this case, it'd be maybe the contact with some country rock when it's coming in because it has some chemistry that helps ignite it or other things. So we can see where some of these things may have occurred based on the previous data. And there's a lot of geophysics, a lot of things that are on the project that really tell us that, you know, we have a pretty good idea what's going on. So anyways, back. So the cumulate layer, that's sort of like original. And then later on, you had events where there's some very hot mafic dikes, dye-based dikes as we call them, cutting through. And they crystallize at about 1600 degrees C. So they're really hot, cutting through. And they can remobilize some of that mineralization. And those features that mineralization can get remobilized, and in this case to high angle structures, almost vertical, which can contain values, the property I already shown, better than 10% copper nickel. There's been surface samples of 4 ounces of palladium, platinum, gold. There's a lot of things going on there. In our work this summer, we found out that there's decent grades of cobalt up to 0.2 in some areas. So that's just a nice mix of elements. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And this intrusive itself is kind of flatline, it's dipping on about 4 degrees. So everyone's drilled vertical holes looking for that cumulate layer.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
But meanwhile, you've got this very vertical structure. So how do you hit it, right?
Yes.
And occasionally they did. See, we have evidence already they exist because a couple of holes have hit that. And, they were still thinking for, horizontal. And even in the reports at the end of the assessments, well, maybe we might have these vertical structures. So we had Dr. Goei Zhang, structural analysis, up there with us this summer. And, you know, we found where those holes were located, doing the mapping of the country rocks and everything else. He says, yep, this looks like this is the structure right here. It's almost east-west bearings, dipping very steeply to the north. I just put the drill over here and come back and you'll hit it, right? And so, and that's never been done. There's only been a few angled holes in the property, and all they were doing is drill testing right where they already knew that mineralization is occurring, just to get numbers.
Yes, yeah.
So, you know, that's just, again, that just shows, and we see already 2 or 3 of these. When the Russians were mining in Uralsk, they were mining the cumulate, and then all of a sudden they'd go across and see some of these remobilized structures. It was about 20 years later. It's like, oh, what's this? Ooh, look at the grade of that, right?
Yes, yes.
So this is a really fantastic property to have as well. Gives you an idea what the portfolio of the company is like for Bathurst. We're just a little company, but we have these projects 100% owned, and we've got the staff. We have the professional staff.
Yep.
Dr. Goei Zhang is now an advisor to us.
Yes.
Greg Bronson's VP Exploration. He's a professional geoscientist as well. A lot of work up the north. He's worked on Turner Lake and the drilling in the past with myself. So we all have this northern experience. We know how to work with the Inuit, and also, you know, your logistics. How are we going to move things, and how are we going to do these things? So yeah, I think we have the edge on a lot of.
And this is the time is now. I mean, you're going to be doing work on Turner Lake, and then so are you going to be you're poking holes right away as well at the second property as well?
At McGregor Lake, not this year. We're going to focus. Okay. What we want to do is focus on Turner and then Ted. We're expanding out. We wanted to do some also geophysics. Greg Bronson, our VP Exploration, he really likes another property called Gela Lake.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, he thinks that there could be a lurking monster, and that was one there too, because we started doing some mapping up there, and he's finding, you know, nice shear-hosted copper deposits.
Yeah. Yeah.
And never a drill hole up there. So, you know, we want to do run some geophysics, maybe some SE88s, EM type geophysical systems, MAG-EM, and then and look at that, because there's also this big wall of, you know, quartz, chalcopyrite, and you got all these cobalt blooms coming out, and there's just all this mineralization happening along about 7 kilometers.
Okay. Well.
So there's a big regional structure that crosses the property, and intrusive came in and sort of juiced things up, and that is the area he wants to focus on. So he thinks it's pretty good.
Good. So be a lot of data collection and science going on that one, and then like boots on the ground for Turner Lake pretty soon here as well. I mean, it's
Turner Lake in with the other property which is adjacent to Turner Lake. We call it Ted.
Yeah,
that's
Ted.
The
yeah.
information with the high grade gold in it. We want to put just a couple of holes down through that, start to get that put together, see how that works, and then the Gela Lake itself. But like over in McAvoy, we're really looking at things like mapping out the basin a little more, because it's a rift basin. It's like how Africa's splitting in two right now. It's rifting, so you have these other different structures. And those are also important in because the mineralization will exploit those too. So we're looking at maybe some high level seismic work happening through there. You have the issue of some permafrost. But there's some new programs. I think it's University of Saskatchewan. I mean, we're trying to be good scientists on this as well. We're economic geologists, but you have to do good work.
Yes.
And really understand what you're dealing with here to maybe be able to put the picture better together versus what people have done in the past. I mean, we can go there with a drill and start blasting. And in fact, I think in some areas it's ready for it.
Yes.
With high grade structures, and we would just start drilling along those and follow it down to the cumulate layer. I mean, we could do that right now.
Yeah, I say to people, because some people think, well, let's just go do that. Go, well, if you just have a little bit more patience and just take a little bit more time, you could save, because once you start drilling, that's money coming, that's going. And if you've got an unlimited budget, okay, sure, let's go drill. But we don't live in that world.
we want to be good with the company. We want to Turner Lake is like I said, our flagship. We know how to drill it right now, and in 50-meter centers. I think investors would be best suited for investors for us to do that right now.
Perfect. So that's our main focus right now. We're going to be watching to see some news come out from that. But like I said, that starts, I mean, that's happening right away. Like we're going into season now where especially people in BC and Canada kind of realize, okay, those up in the Northwest Territories and Nunavut, and as well as the Golden Triangle, it's a flock to work to start drilling and getting up there. And that's happening pretty soon. Like we're really on the cusp of that happening right away.
Yeah, well, exactly. We're again, the logistics for us is pretty straightforward. I mean, there's an Inuit camp up there. We stay there.
Yep.
Chopper. I mean, our costs are very similar to the Golden Triangle for any juniors because you have to use your choppers. You got to fly things in. There's not too much variance between those costs and what we are dealing with up in the north
as well. Yeah,
and that's one of the biggest sort of people say, "Oh, it must be expensive up there." Well, it is. It can be. But those winter roads that you described, we can haul fuel up to the end of those roads.
Yep.
You can get a twin otter to just shuttle back and forth to a washed out esker close by to our property.
Yep.
And we don't have to build and take down every year a camp because we stay in an Inuit village.
That's a big bonus. Yep.
Oh yeah, and they work with us, and and kitchens, and it's a really nice place to be actually. It's neat. You see all the wildlife and everything else that's going on around through there too.
Yes.
And on the side, we seem to get Arctic char for supper every second night.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's a terrible world.
And I guess, what a complaint might be for people who are like, wait a second, it's daylight all the time. It seems like it's a very long day. It's easier to put in a 20-hour workday.
I'd be sleeping in a tent and I'd sort of wake up and I look, the sun's over there. That's about midnight. Right?
Once again, a very good market cap with big projects. So, and these are the type of stories that people like, is that we're talking big size, big scope, and a fairly short time frame. Like we're not talking, for a lot of projects, it could be, quite some time. There's a lot of data. You've got some players near you. There's lots of check marks on here, and we're definitely going to keep an eye on you and look forward to any data, any information, and any development that's coming out from Bathurst.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Andrew. Thank you for your time. I think people, like I say, short-term, mid-term, long-term Bathurst, we have the projects, and I think we're going to have some very good results as time goes forward.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you spending the time.
Thank you, Andrew. Take care.